authors, I'm Joanne Morrell, children's and young adult fiction writer and author of short non-fiction for authors. Thanks for joining me for the Hybrid Author podcast, sharing interviews from industry professionals to help you forge a career as a hybrid author, both independently and traditionally publishing your books. You can get the show notes for each episode and sign up for your free author pass over at the Hybrid Author website to discover your writing process, get tips on how to publish productively, and get comfortable promoting your books at www.hybridauthor.com.au. Let's crack on with the episode. Authors. I hope you're all keeping well in whatever part of the world you reside and listen to the podcast in. Today's interview is with picture book author Garvey, and we're chatting about how to make time to write as a mother of kids with special needs, how her kids have inspired her work, being an advocate for children on the spectrum, the challenges Kai and her boys have faced as a family, Kai's books, writing advice, and so much more. So in my author adventure this week, I really just wanted to say, in line with this interview, that if writing is not your full-time gig yet, as busy as life gets, having a family, kids, a husband, partner, pets, day job, exercise, commitments such as team sports, hobbies, leisure activities, the commitments of your dependents, time for yourself, all the aspects which make up your life, writing, publishing and promoting being one of them has to slot in between all of these other things. Continually working around these elements to fit in what works best for you this month, week, or day. Doing what you can when you can. I just wanted to say I see you, and I commend you for not giving up on your dream in the face of rejection, in the face of any author fears or judgments or criticism you get from the outside world or within yourself. I encourage you to continue to be inspired in the writing industry. So for me this week, that was watching a short YouTube video made by Penguin Random House, and that was of children's author Jacqueline Wilson. She's been the British Children's Laureate, and I absolutely love her books for kids. They are easy to devour, capture the character's voice, and I just connect with them, having been a child growing up in the UK. So Jacqueline shares short snippets of her writing process, and it inspired me to pick up my laptop each morning and write without any thought to it at all in terms of how good the writing was, and it just really unblocked me this week. So if you're an avid listener of the podcast, you'll know I've got 2 kids, I now have a day job, I am a hybrid author writing across genres in various formats, and I strive to be traditionally published, and I independently publish works. My writing process has come on leaps and bounds in the last 10 years, but ways of working for me continually change, and to be honest, I wouldn't want it any other way. If you hadn't guessed already, I'm the type of person who craves change. I get bored super easily, and in this industry, I'm getting the chance to flex my creativity, express myself, and challenge myself often. There are still many parts to authorship I haven't conquered yet, so I'm still very much interested, intrigued, and inspired by this book world. So if you're feeling a bit lackluster, or things are just getting on top of you as a super busy person, I urge you not to be down on yourself. If you create a schedule for yourself and you don't achieve it, but instead I urge you to be kind to yourself and reflect. Assess what your working week was like and why you didn't manage to do something you wanted to do if you didn't hit the marks on where you wanted to be. And in another instance, I urge you to change it up if it's not working for you. This picking up my laptop early in the morning and, not counting the word count, not concentrating on how good or bad something is, just writing my plot, filling bits out is working for me right now. This week anyway. Next week will probably be different. I feel good. My story's moving forward because I'm touching base with it every day so far. And that's exactly what Jacqueline Wilson said. She spoke about, although she said, you write how you want to write and what that means to you. I've written solid for a couple of weeks when trying to get something finished, then sporadic most days. It just changes all the time for me. As I navigate these various aspects of my life, my dependents and other commitments and things like that. So helping with inspiration this week, I've also been reading a lot, and that has inspired my writing. I'm really falling heavily back into the YA genre, which is young adult. I started out writing young adult. I absolutely young adult books, and I have quite a few ideas for young adult, but there's one I vaguely started about 2 years ago, and it's strongly pushing its way to the front of the writing queue. It keeps coming into my head, so I really feel like maybe this is the time. I am planning on writing this book for next year and thinking and making it probably the first of our writing projects for the beginning of the year. And I am starting to think about projects for next year, as well as obviously try to finish the ones from this year. There's also a junior version of my Author Fears book that is popping up an opportunity, and I'm considering writing that. That's not something I thought of. So there's lots on the horizon, and I'm really excited, and there's nervous energy running through my veins at the possibility of bringing these works to life. So I also received in traditional publishing news a rejection for my picture book last week, but I have to say, obviously when I submit things, there's always hope. But with this particular publishing house, I wasn't 100% sure this picture book would fit there or if it would be what they were looking for. It's not so far out from things that they publish, but I actually submitted this with an expectation that it was going to be rejected. So I feel like the blow of when the rejection came, it was kind of, there was no feelings there because I expected that. Now, some people might think, oh, that's not a positive way to look at it. And I don't know why. I don't know why I felt that way. I just did. But I also feel like that was quite an important moment to me. I feel like I've come on quite far. I definitely, in terms of rejection, I think I'm putting myself out there so much this year with various projects and stuff that I've probably received the most rejections I have in a year, probably in my whole entire writing career, because they're smaller form works as well. Whereas in the past, I've just been working on one longer form and then I might have put it to one or two places and moved on and stuff like that. Whereas there's been a couple this year, I think. So I acknowledged the rejection, but and I've still got another work out on submission. So I think that helps, to definitely have a few things out there. So you've still got that chance happening. So yeah, I really do feel like my response was a development and a growth in my writing adventure. So I'm celebrating where I'm at on my writing adventure. So I recently shared a post on social media which said, "You forget how far you've come. This is truly important. I've come on massively from when I started my writing degree, and I still have a long way to go, but not to be deterred by rejection, this feels very important to me." So I pose to you to reflect on how far have you come? Where do you want to be in the next year? Why and who are you writing for? If you're feeling in a slump, how will you get inspired? What are you reading? Are you making time to read? I want you to seriously consider all these questions, as they have greatly been a massive part of my author adventure this week. And I hope they will enlighten you on whatever part of your hybrid author adventure that you're currently on. I'm also injecting some inspiration into my weekend by attending Alliance of Independent Authors, Allies Self-Publishing Conference. So mostly these presenters are featured in Britain, so it's all online over this Saturday and Sunday. I haven't actually ever attended a conference online before, or a self-publishing one, so I'm super excited. I'm filling up more on this information because I'm going to be indie publishing my women's fiction in the next month, so I'll share all the conference goodies with you next week.
Thorn Creative, where beautiful websites for authors are brought to life. No matter what stage you're at with your writing, your stories deserve a dedicated space to shine. Whether you're just starting out or have a bookshelf full of bestsellers, your website is the hub of your author business, binding everything you and your books offer together. Thorn Creative can nurture all aspects of redesigning your old site or start afresh from the initial design. They can provide ongoing hosting and maintenance to marketing your books online, saving you time, money, and stress trying to wrangle your site yourself. An author website built by Thorn Creative can easily direct readers to your favorite retailers, your publisher, or simply set you up to sell to them direct. The options are endless. Thorn Creative have worked with many authors across all genres and know what goes into good, functional working author websites to sell books. Head on over to thorncreative.com.au/websites for authors to read author and publisher testimonials and to see what they offer and some of the sites they've created. Kai Garvey has two sons diagnosed with autistic spectrum disorder and ADHD. Kai is also an author who writes fun and engaging stories that turn challenges into triumphs in a way that is supportive, inclusive, and empowering. She also writes and hosts the podcast Totally Lit. Welcome to the Hybrid Author Podcast, Kai.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're thrilled to have you. Thanks for joining us. If you can tell us how you came to be a writer and a podcaster.
Well, it's a bit convoluted. I started my life in one direction. I worked in banking for about 12 years. I had my two sons, but found myself on my own and decided to change the direction of my life. So I enrolled in uni and completed my Bachelor of Arts degree, and I relocated from Sydney to Brisbane to have a little bit of a different lifestyle. When I was completing my degree, my best marks were in my optional subjects. So I did creative writing along with literature and history, and I was getting great marks in creative writing. And I always knew that I could write, but I didn't realise that I could write, I guess. So when I finished my degree, I started applying for a different style of jobs, but actually ended up earning the least amount of money I ever had in my life. And I had a bit of a cry over that, because I was like, oh, I'm trying to change my life, and no matter what I do, it's not working. But while I had been working, I was volunteering in roles. I did an internship at Brisbane Writers Festival, and also did some volunteering at the Rock and Roll Writers Festival, which ran for a few years here in Brisbane. And I started meeting writers and thinking, oh, they're human beings just like me. They're real people. So I started entering competition, and I was very blessed that the first competition I entered was the Hunter Writers Centre Grieve competition, and I came third in that. And then I entered the Queensland Carers Week writing competition, and I came first in that. So I was getting signals from the universe that yes, I can write. And then I started joining Write Links here in Brisbane, which is a group that supports children's writers. And then I started networking with other writers and going to courses, and it sort of took off to the point where I have my own picture book now. So I think really I was spending a bit of time finding my own identity and figuring out who I was. And it took me till 40 to figure that out. And so now I've transitioned from aspiring writer to, I guess, emerging writer.
Amazing. That's an amazing author adventure. Everybody's is different, which I absolutely love hearing about. And it sounds like yours has been a long road. Was that, how long a period was that with the competitions and then to the picture book?
So 2017 was when I started entering competitions, and I probably did a how to write a picture book course with Michelle Worthington. That was, I think it was the end of 2017. And she's such a great mentor and very approachable sort of person. And I was very cocky sitting in her workshop going, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. And so I've been very grateful to her for pushing me along and mentoring me. And also all the writers in Brisbane here that are in the Kidlit community are so supportive. Like, we're all cheering each other on. It's a great environment to be a writer here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I watch from in Perth, obviously from afar, but I see on social media the gatherings that you guys have, and we've got a good group going in Western Australia.
Yeah, the people you surround yourself really help you move forward.
Absolutely, yeah. So today's topic is on making time to write, being a creative carer to children with special needs. So are you able to tell us about your kids, and, how have you gone about managing your writing career around caring for them?
Well, I think if you had talked to me 10 years ago, I wouldn't be able to write. But now, because they're 17 and 20 at the moment, so they've got to a point where they're more independent. So originally when I started writing, to be honest, I have written things an hour before they are due. I've written things sitting on the couch with my phone. Yeah, it's really, I just squeeze it in to wherever I can. So for instance, today I've already been to the West End Library and run a kids workshop. And now I'm having a chat with you. And then
Good on you. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done some washing. That's it.
And later on this afternoon, I'm going to meet with, there's a group called the Brisbane Writers Crew, which is all all Brizzy authors that are, most of us are published and established writers. So that's my Saturday, and generally that's what every Saturday is like, doing an activity with the book, then connecting with other authors, or maybe and that's the same with my podcast. That gets all squeezed in lunch breaks and late at night. And I think, it's been a good journey for me as the boys have become more independent. A lot of my identity up until they were about 15 was about being an advocate for them. But as they've grown up and now they don't need me as much, that it's been a good transition into, okay, I've got this little hobby of writing. Now it's more than a hobby. A lot of my friendship group and my identity now is about my writing, as opposed to being entrenched in caring for the boys. So I think that's been really good for me, especially like I get Facebook reminders of them when they were little, like, oh, we can't go to the park anymore, and we can't do all those fun things, although we do different things now that they're really adults. It's been easier to find time to write now that they're more independent. But when they were small, it probably wouldn't have been realistic for me to try and launch a writing career. But that being said, I still work full time and we still have all the same appointments we've always had. Yeah, if you meet me and I'm a bit anxious or nervous, it might have been that we've had a bad day.
Yeah.
But I find writing too is very cathartic as well, because it takes you, it's the same as reading a book. It transports your mind to somewhere else. So it's really quite good in terms of if you need to change your mindset. If you've had a bad day, sitting down and writing for an hour is actually a really good way to put yourself in a different place in your mind. So for me, I find it quite good to relax when I write, but also when, especially, and I think maybe all mums find this a little bit, that you lose your identity a little bit because you're so focused on raising your children, that it actually feels really good to find yourself again. Especially when I was younger, I used to just go with the flow and found myself not where I wanted to be. And I feel much more satisfied with my life now, that I feel like it's more under my control. So finding who you are. So for me, I'm like, well, I'm a good writer. This gives me satisfaction. I've got evidence that I'm a good writer. So that gives me confidence. I've found that writing has been a really good tool for me, especially when I was feeling like I had lost control of my own life.
Yeah, it sounds like with your children as well, and obviously taking up writing, the two have kind of gone hand in hand, which sounds a bit crazy because obviously, and as a mother myself, kids, it's super hard because they demand attention a lot. And I agree wholeheartedly with what you said there about losing yourself, and I've definitely experienced that. But I feel like with yourself and your kids, and then writing us catharsis. Did you say that you won the competition for caring, like for the story? So was that about writing about their caring for them, their experience as well?
Yeah. So it was they just had run a little competition where it said the topic was why I care, and it just had to be a couple of 100 words, so a flash fiction kind of thing. So that's a lot of what I've been doing, is short stories, flash fiction, and picture books, because they're all short, sweet, and it's easy to make time to create those. Whereas if you're trying to write a novel, you need up to 5 years sometimes, although some people can churn them out in 3 months.
Yeah.
But I know realistically, up until now, I haven't had that room in my life. So I deliberately picked the genres that I write in because of the time that I could dedicate to them. And although picture books can take a long time to get published, but the time I wrote easy peasy in about half an hour, but then it has been honed and looked at by editors, and I've had people give me feedback and things. So it's a bit difficult to measure the time that gets put into it. But
I like that though. That is titled easy peasy, and you wrote it in half an hour.
But writing 80,000 words for a novel is a completely different thing, and it is something I want to tackle.
Yep.
And I'm a bit frightened of it though, because I'm like, oh, what if I couldn't do it? And I don't want to say to people, oh, I'm going to write this novel and then not achieve it. So I probably put a bit of pressure on myself in that way.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are you one of these people? I know I am. Like, if you do put it out there to people, I'm going to do this, then it makes you a little bit accountable to do it.
With the Carers Week prize, that I just kind of just dashed that off while I was sitting on the couch because I was scrolling on Facebook and I'd seen the competition and I was like, oh, okay, I'll type that out and send it off. And so that was nice to win that. When I write those kind of things, I put all my heart and soul into them as well.
Yeah.
And so it was nice that people could feel that emotion that I'd put into it. And yeah, it was just also good to have a reminder, okay, you're on the right track. Doing the writing is worth it and it does touch other people. So regardless of how much money you ever earn in writing, there's also that satisfaction that you reaching individuals
Yeah,
at
connecting.
that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice that you're sharing your experiences and, like you said, your heart and soul with, raising two sons, and it is connecting with other people. So I think that, the writing for you is helping reach people as well who are maybe having the same experience as yourself. So no, that's fantastic that you'd run that. As well as what you'd said about with children kind of losing yourself as an individual, have you made any other sacrifices to be able to keep going with your writing as well as raising your children? Not, I guess you're not sacrificing yourself, but
no,
other things that you've kind of turned down or switched the TV off to get your writing done, or just, as you said, snatched it in moments where you could.
I really snatch it in moments when I can. Grabs me like a fever when I see something that I want to write for. I kind of have to do it straight away to make sure it's done. Deadlines also fly past me all the time. So yesterday, 5 Mile Press had open submissions, and I did intend to sit down last night and submit something, and I went to bed instead. So
Yeah.
I'm
Are
often.
they every Friday? Every month?
I think it's once a month.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I saw that myself and I thought, oh, no, I've not got time now.
And that sometimes where this year I've had some issues with my son. He was in year 12 and he was really struggling. And even though my book has come out this year, I've really had to step back a bit. And so my podcast has been on hold for a few months because I just didn't think I could give my guests the attention that they needed while he was struggling. So I've had lots of sleepless nights worrying about the boys and where their mental health is at and just getting them through what they've needed to get through. So I haven't been writing as much this year or submitting as much, and also missing out on the workshops and the opportunities. So a lot of events where you go to conferences and special events where there may be an editor or someone from a publisher there, and those I missed a lot of just because of, financially and time. It's been, I can't do those. So you kind of have to look, if you're wanting to make a professional career out of writing, you've got to assess what you can afford, what you can't afford, figuring out what is a good investment of your money and time, because some things you'll do and you go, oh, that was a waste. Why did I do that? And then there'll be another opportunity that brings back tenfold. So yeah, it's really, you've got to start looking at things in a business frame of mind as well, which is difficult sometimes.
Probably like you said, the emotional mindset too. So obviously you said you've had some sleepless nights there and you've got other worries and things happening, and to continue podcasting or with your writing and set in that way can be quite hard as well.
And it's challenging too when you want things to happen so badly. So this is really a 10-year journey of me transforming my life, and lots of things have changed, but there's also things that still stay the same. So a lot of I work full time, but a lot of my finances go into the boys' appointments and medications and all those sort of things, and so there's not a lot of money left for investing into your hobby, really. I do have a book that's on sale, so it's not really a hobby anymore, but you do have to go, okay, how much time and money can I put into this, and what competitions do I enter to raise my profile as well? Like if you really want to make a go of it, you can't just rely on your friends and neighbours and mum and dad to buy your book either. You have to be a bit thinking sort of national and international to make any money, and there's only one of me, if you know what I mean, as well.
Yeah,
and so it's like, oh, I'm exhausted. And so, but I find the whole activity of writing and being a writer recharges me. Like every time you have a success, it gives you a bit of a motivator, and sometimes just being around other writers and seeing their successes helps you as well, and hearing their stories, because some people have been working at it and not giving up, and that's really the key to it all, is that you just keep producing content and keep submitting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find going along to this podcast for me, I always feel really energized and inspired after speaking to people and going along to events, and things always gets the creative juices flowing. And I think if it is, as you said, when you've got children, you've got a day job, you've got other commitments, and then to sort of add your writing in there, and sometimes it can feel like a hard slog, but it's rewarding to get, as you said, recognition for it. It's a form of escapism as well, I think. Fiction, I love writing fiction, and when things click, when they don't click, it's not so much fun, but when things do, it just, it feels really good. It feels like you're on the path that you're meant to be on, and just to keep kind of going. So
I think being the best version of yourself is a benefit to everyone around you. Like if I'm taking time to be a good writer, it also helps me be a good mum and a good wife and a good friend. Like if I'm happier and productive and having a bit of fun with my life, it benefits everyone around me.
Absolutely. Rather than, having it and being frustrated and stressed out and then being an ogre, everybody be like, oh gosh, mom's writing again, keep away from her.
Also, the times when like it can be frustrating when you get knockbacks, and it's like, and you just remind yourself, oh well, this is part of the process. Like we all get rejections, and we always all get bypassed at some point for someone else. And it's just like, okay, the only way is just to keep going.
Yeah. I do share it with my kids, like when I get rejected, and I do get really down about it. I do, because they know obviously I'm writing a book, and for them a book is obviously holding it in their hand. It's they do listen to audio books through BorrowBox, the library system, and they haven't really picked up ebooks or anything. Mine's are only 11 and 8, and so when they ask about it, oh, where's your book? Is it this and that? And I'm just like, oh, and I'll say I've sent it to this publisher or whatever, and it's been rejected. And because I think I probably want them to be aware that, which maybe is not good for kids or something, that life is not just smooth sailing, but here this is happening to me, but I'm still going, I'm still keeping on, I'm still trying, I'm still putting myself out there and chasing my dream. That's the message I'm hoping it gives to them over, this is never going to happen.
That's kind of some of my motivation, because with my guys, like, when you've had a bad day at work, or you wake up in the morning and go, oh, I've got to face today. I think it's important to show my boys that I do that, because like whatever I feel, they feel 100 times more. Like they've got challenges to face every day.
Yeah.
And I kind of say, okay, well, we had a bad day today. We'll get up again tomorrow and try again. And I felt a bit like a hypocrite that I was telling them to try again when I've got to be living that as well. So because they pick up on everything you do, you're the example for them. And when me going to work every day without any challenges is hard enough. So them having to go off to school, and, they live with being teased and bullied, and they have a bit of difficulty with the noise of school, and just like the environment of school is not, ASD kids are not cut out for it. Yet we're making them go every day. So I kind of feel like, well, I want to be a living example for them, that I'm trying something that's hard, and I've got an example of that I tried something and it worked. So
absolutely. How do they get some help at school? Any of these teachers' aides or anything?
Both so my younger son just finished year 12, and my older son, he's 20, and they're both going to an organisation called Jigsaw, which trains kids that have got extra needs in office work, and then places them in internships in real life offices, so they can have a living wage, which is fantastic. During school they had support, but you're at the mercy of, you have assessments and they tell you how much support they're eligible for, and it usually is never as much as they need. It's shared across all the other students. So it's and my guys, really, they needed one-on-one help all the time, and it's just not available. And it's there's so many kids that need help that you just get what you're allotted. So a lot of it really any success they've had has been all their own work.
Yeah.
So they've both worked really hard and overcome a lot of challenges. So I'm quite proud of them. Although the other day my son, he was like, "Oh, I'm so tired. I'm burnt out." He said, "But Mum, you never take a break, so I don't take a break either." And I'm like, "Oh, that's the wrong example."
It's still
Like,
a
if you need to
positive
take a
one,
day
though.
of leave,
Yeah.
take some leave, because I'm probably not very kind to myself in that I just keep going as far as I can, and then I'll get sick or fall
Yeah.
over a little bit and need to have a recharge.
It sounds like you're just a mother. A
Yes.
mother going, going, going. Yeah.
Yep.
They don't really get to take a break, really. But
Yeah.
yes. Oh, that's gorgeous that they're so hardworking, and you know they can recognize the good traits about yourself as well. Are you part of any community groups and things like that? Your sons, or when they were growing up,
Not
or
not
no?
really. Like, we went to Scouts when they were
Mhm.
younger, and I sort of reach out to the Carers Foundation, which is based here in Samford in Brisbane, but they are available right across Australia. If anyone feels they need a chat or some counselling over the phone, you can ring them. But I found a big challenge with working full time and being a carer for kids. There wasn't really anything available for someone like me. Like, it would be, "Oh, come to coffee on a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock for a carers group." And that, I'm like, well, there's no way I can do that.
Yeah.
And so there was never, like, the standard idea of a carer is that you have a child with a disability and you're on a carer's pension or something at home. But there's so many carers out there that are working just to meet all the needs for their children, and they just burn out because you're
Yeah.
working, you never really get a break or a holiday, and you forget to look after yourself. Like, you make sure that your kids get everything, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah. And it
when
sounds
do I have a rest?
you're the most important person because you need to be at top health to keep everything going as well, you know.
Yeah. And I think, for me, writing has been that way to stay sane and
Mhm.
feel like I'm doing something for myself. And other people will find a different way. You know, there's some people that enjoy crafting and making things, or painting, or,
Yep.
book illustrators are out there. They've got such a different talent. But when you
Mm.
find that thing that you're good at, I think go after it, because it really gives you, just quality
Okay.
of life.
Yeah, an outlet to express your feelings, your love, your frustrations, your everything, really, isn't it? So you mentioned obviously you won that award for writing about caring. Have your kids inspired any other stories that you've written about? You know, say picture books, either
Well,
of quirky
easy
things they've
peasy
done, or yeah.
has my son Lachlan in it, even though the character is Ruby. He had a skateboard when he was growing up that he loved so much that he took it to bed with him every night, and that I included in the story, with Ruby taking her roller skates to bed with her. So he inspired that. And I've got a couple of other manuscripts that are more focused on ASD, so about experiences that kids have at school, just encouraging people to reach out to those kids when they can't articulate how they're feeling, but they're not published yet. So I'll keep submitting those.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
those are really inspired by the boys, because they'll come home from school some days and they'll be like, "Oh, Mum, this happened. It was terrible." And I'll be like, "Oh, well, you have to remember those kids don't understand your condition, and you need to
Mm.
have a bit of empathy." And they would always say to me, "Well, Mum, why is it me that has to have the
Mm.
empathy? They're the neurotypical kids who don't have any challenges, and yet I'm having to be understanding of them." And I'm like, I know it seems ironic.
Oh, that's a picture book in itself, if you ask
Yeah,
me. You know,
yeah.
a book like that to educate other kids on the conditions would
You
be
just have
good.
to create the message in a way that's not too didactic. Like, it still needs to be something that kids want to read. So
Yeah.
it's a challenge when you have a message you want to convey.
Mm.
You've got to figure out how to
How to hide
communicate
it.
it. Yeah.
Hide it in a fun story.
Yes. So, it can, like, it is important to me to share those messages and advocate for kids that do have special needs. So I don't know if I'll end up self-publishing them or just keep
Mm.
banging on until somebody says yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they
But
sound
yeah,
too important to wait forever if you are meeting a brick wall with, say, traditional publishing or whatnot. That's the beauty of hybrid,
yeah.
doing it yourself. Because, yeah, they sound like very important stories that should be out in the world.
So I am now pushing to be more of an advocate for carers and for our children as well, so that I'm starting to get a bit of traction with that. But I need to write more about it.
Mm-hmm.
That may or may not happen.
Is this novel idea that you've sort of got, or you would like to write a novel, would it be around this type of genre, say for like adults who are carers, fiction, non-fiction?
I do have an idea about putting something together that is interviewing other parents and their experience of diagnosis. And I've been waiting for the right time to write that, because we hadn't had a happy ending yet, if you know what I mean. Like I was like, oh, when is the right time to write this? Because even just this year, we've been dealing with suicidal ideation with my children. I'm like, oh, is that the story I want to tell? But now I'm feeling a bit more in a better place in terms of I've got both boys through high school. They're heading off to good places to learn how to work. That's actually probably the best I can hope for in some ways. And yeah, I think that's really one of the challenges of being a parent with kids with special needs, is reassessing what you thought your life would be. Because when you have children, you have hopes and dreams for them. And then when you realize, oh, okay, that's actually not going to happen the way you thought, you actually have a lot of grief around it and going, okay, if you'd had hoped for your son to be a doctor or a lawyer, that's not going to happen for us. Not that that's not the expectation I actually had.
No. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, you do think, oh, well, one day they'll get married and they'll have children, and all those things don't happen. Like my older son didn't go to his school formal, and so there's things that they've missed out on that you also miss out on as well, which are just the traditional life experiences that you anticipate happening. But I've actually found a lot of peace once I let go of any expectations. It took me quite a while, like we're at 20 and 17. So it took me, there were times when they would get a D on their report card and I'd be like, oh, okay. There's no sense in getting upset at that because I know they tried their best.
Yeah.
So you just have to reassess and change your hopes, and then also realize that you've got to accept what their hopes are. And I think that's for any child, if they decide they want to be a hairdresser, okay. And it's the same. My parents would have gone through the same with me, because I spent a lot of time figuring out what I wanted to do. Once I had let go of all life's expectations and just let go, I felt a lot better.
Yeah. Did you get help with that, like being able to do that, or was that something you knew within yourself? I've got to just, change my thinking here, and then,
I sometimes found, like if you went to a psychologist or the pediatrician or whichever specialist, you would hear things you didn't want to hear. Like initially with my older son, when he was diagnosed, the pediatrician had said, oh, well, I think the most you can expect for him is for him to be pushing trolleys at Coles or Woolies. And when your son is 6 or 7 years old, that can be quite devastating.
Yeah.
But then you realize, well, it doesn't matter what condition he has. He might push trolleys at Coles or Woolies anyway. And if he's happy, that's all that matters.
Yep.
And so just reassessing, well, it's his life, it's his choice. But you do get a bit of a shock when a doctor tells you this is what you can expect, or this is what you need to lower your hopes. And no parent wants to hear that. And then it can take a while to go, well, if that's what they want, it's different to watch your child struggle and be unhappy when they want more and can't achieve it. And that we've been through that as well. My older son is a lot like me in what he wants from life, and to achieve some of the things he wants is going to be a struggle, but you just have to be there by their side and let them know that you're not leaving them while they go through the journey.
Yeah, that's it. Oh gosh, no, I completely understand and empathize there. Like that would be super hard. And I think like for every parent, having the thought that the most that you want for your kids is just for them to be happy and healthy would probably help there as well.
And I probably should make it clear that I'm not the sort of person that I don't push my sons to be anything other than they want to be.
So there's no writing aspirations between either of them yet? You can
No, they don't even
help
like
with
to
getting
read
them
very
to
much.
write a picture book or something about their experiences.
Yeah, no, they are firmly in the camp that they like to play video games.
Yeah.
That is all their aspirations are at the moment, is they just want to earn enough money to have somewhere to live and play video games when they want.
I think that sounds all right.
Yeah. And that'll change. Like, we're all teenagers and we all want to just enjoy our lives at that stage. So that's where they're at, is that they just want to be enjoying life a bit at the moment. So.
Well, I think we can all take life a bit too seriously, can't we? And
yes.
Push and push and push and push. So yeah, no, good on them. You've shared so much already, Kai, obviously around, you know, how you've squeezed in your writing time and raising the boys, and you've done a magnificent job. Hats off to you. Do you have any other advice you would like to give to other authors, you know, juggling similar commitments such as yourself?
I think that you shouldn't let fear get in the way of your writing. So anyone out there that is at the start of their journey, just submit something, because I think a lot of us spend a lot of time saying, I'd like to be a writer, but letting that idea of, oh, you can't make money as a writer or you might be successful, like, I think we'd let that get in the way of beautiful work that we can create. So I think just do it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing advice there. And we can get caught up in our minds that I've gone through so much as well, self-doubt, all the rest. But you know, when it's what you want to do, you keep striving to get better and still putting yourself out there. So no, that's great. And as you said, you've got a lot of picture books sort of on the go, ideas and a novel. Is this what we can expect from you in the future?
Hopefully, I'm submitting.
And maybe the podcast again.
Yeah.
Time.
It will be coming very shortly. And really, the podcast, like, it's so easy to self-publish a podcast that I could just start booking in and be back up straight away. But I'm trying to be kind to myself this year.
No, good on you. Yeah, you definitely should be thinking about yourself and putting yourself forward first as well and foremost.
It's challenging. Like, I think that's the biggest issue for all of us, is putting ourselves first. And I'm a bit of a yes person in a lot of ways. But I don't say yes to myself. So I have to learn to be as kind to myself as I try to be to other people.
Yeah, it sounds like you're on the right track by allowing yourself some sort of space and breathing time and knowing what you've got the capacity to handle and what you haven't at this stage.
Yes. And I have learned to say no to people as well, which has been an ongoing issue my whole life.
No, no.
But going, okay, actually, I can't produce. I think because the work I produce is important to me, I'm recognizing, oh, actually, if I continue at this pace, I can't produce good work. But if, and especially with the podcast, I want to give my guests the best opportunity to showcase their own work. So if I feel I can't give them a good interview, I shouldn't be trying to do it. So because I'm like, oh, I want to give them a really good experience and get the best out of me as an interviewer, sometimes taking a step back for a little while is a better idea than trying to do things haphazardly.
No, absolutely.
So I have learned something.
Yeah.
In all these years.
No, it sounds like you're on your way and doing really well. And yeah, just it sounds like you've had a heck of a ride along the way, but you sound inspired and passionate about what you do. And it sounds like it's it's meant for you. So I'm sure when the time comes for you to give it what you want to give it, you'll be able to do that. Thank you so much for your time and expertise. Can you tell our listeners where they can discover Easy Peasy, your book and your podcast and just you in general online or in stores and things?
So Easy Peasy you can find through ukbooks.org online, and you can also find me, Kai Garvey, author and podcaster, on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. I'm really naughty and haven't got a website yet, but it's under construction. So there's the things that go to the wayside, is little things like I've been building a website for ages.
Oh my gosh, I wasted so much time of my life trying to do that, honestly.
I actually purchased one, and Vanilla Designs have done a beautiful job for me, but they're waiting on me to provide some content.
It's a big slog, but once it's done and it's out there, it's kind of done. So that's good.
And the podcast is called Totally Lit, and you can listen to that on whatever your favorite platform is, mainly iTunes and Spotify. But I've just heard Google is closing down their podcast channel.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you can, if you put it into Google, it'll bring up all the places to listen to it. And there's quite some interesting authors that I've interviewed that hopefully will give you some tips and tricks.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kai. Thank you. And yeah, that was some great tips there.
Thanks for your time.
So there you have it, folks. The absolutely gorgeous Kai Garvey there. Kai's picture book, Easy Peasy, is out in the world and also illustrated by Perth's Amy Kalaluti. Next time on the Hybrid Author Podcast, we have Lyric in-house publishers Danny V and James Layton on submissions and the hybrid business model. I wish you well in your author adventure this next week. That's it from me. Bye for now. That's the end for now, authors. I hope you are further forward in your author adventure after listening, and I hope you'll listen next time. Remember to head on over to the Hybrid Author website at www.hybridauthor.com.au to get your free author pass. It's bye for now.